Tonight on KGW News, a Longview man who's homeless now has an even harder road ahead.
The positive side is I'm alive.
He lost a hand after someone threw an explosive at him, but his neighbors are making sure he's not alone.
It's just like totally heartwarming to see, especially after, feeling so heartbroken.
Plus, sinkholes and landslides. The rain is taking a toll, and more problems are likely to come. And later, this is what a garbage collector found on his route.
I opened the can to find the dog's eyes just staring right back at me as it's shivering.
How he helped get the dog back home. Your news starts now. We start tonight with promising news for those trying to get a COVID test. I'm Laurel Porter. Thank you for joining us. Both Oregon and Washington are preparing to distribute thousands of home tests in the coming days. In the meantime, healthcare providers have some important advice for those who are trying to get tested but can't. Catherine Cook reports.
If you need a COVID test, no doubt you're familiar with the lines. You know about the waiting. You've heard "we're all out" multiple times. Clearly, getting a COVID test is hard right now.
And that really, speaks to the transmissibility of this virus and the number of people who are getting infected so rapidly.
Dr. Katie Scharf is Chief of Infectious Disease with Kaiser Permanente Northwest. Given the circumstances, she suggests if you have COVID symptoms, don't depend on a test to confirm a diagnosis, especially if it means waiting several days for one.
Sore throat, muscle aches, runny nose, fevers, and you can't get access to a test. I think you need to presume that you are a positive and isolate as such.
She's not alone. Health officials with OHSU shared similar advice when severe weather impacted testing sites.
First advice is if they're symptomatic, stay home and quarantine. Assume that you are positive and, keep yourself safe and others safe.
Testing relief may be on the way. On Wednesday, Washington Governor Jay Inslee said the state received 800,000 at-home COVID tests and is expecting another 2 million this week. They plan to provide the tests through schools and local health departments, focusing on underserved communities.
To make it even easier to get a test, Washington is partnering with Carevolution and Amazon to deliver COVID tests right to families' homes. The state says a web portal should be up and running within the next 2 weeks.
More tests are arriving in Oregon, too. On Tuesday, the Oregon Health Authority received nearly 200,000 home test kits and are expecting weekly shipments all month. The state plans to distribute them as soon as Friday, focusing on frontline healthcare workers and K-12 schools. They'll work with local public health authorities to distribute more tests, noting they don't have the capacity to individually send out tests. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
This comes as Oregon set another record for the number of new COVID cases reported in a single day. The daily report from the Oregon Health Authority shows more than 6,200 cases. That's 2,000 more than Oregon's previous one-day high recorded last week. Most people are not getting seriously sick during this surge with the Omicron variant, although the number of people in the hospital has gone up a bit since Omicron is so transmissible. There are now 523 people in Oregon hospitals with COVID. Experts expect the number will increase through January. The wet weather is starting to damage roads and cause landslides in the metro area. One trouble spot is on the west side of the St. John's Bridge. A landslide is blocking Bridge Avenue, and that's the road just off Highway 30 to get you onto the bridge. This is impacting just northbound traffic. And out on Sauvie Island, a sinkhole has formed on Reeder Road. Take a look at that. A chunk of the pavement collapsed, taking the road down to one lane. Oregon's Emergency Management Office is warning people all over the state to be extra vigilant over the coming days and plan ahead before traveling. Many areas are expecting flooding. Landslide risks are great, especially in wildfire burn areas. And some parts of the state are still dealing with the snow. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. What a start to the year, Matt, and it sounds like our biggest concern is shifting from all that snow we had now to flooding.
Yeah, what else can we add to that list? I mean, it just keeps growing. Sinkholes, the whole 9 yards. It's amazing. Now, up in the Cascades, it is somewhat good news because you can see bare pavement now at Santiago Pass. Temperatures climbed to 39 degrees there. Same thing down at Willamette Pass, a little foggy, but still bare pavement at about 39 degrees. And on Mount Hood, Timberline is up to 32 right now. as it continues to warm on up. Look at the rainfall totals, though. 1.1 inches of rain in Portland today. That's a record for the date. Second time this week we have had record rainfall in a single day. And we're just getting started. There's more rain on the way. And in fact, when you look at this, you can see the green overtaking the white and the that kind of salmon color up over the Cascades. That's an indication that the snow level is rising, which is exactly what it is doing as the snow's being pushed back higher north into Washington, where it's a little bit colder. Speaking of colder, we're around 40 in the Portland area, but still at and below freezing in the Gorge. Hood River 32, 29 in Mosier, 33 at Underwood, 32 up in Trout Lake. So for that reason, still under a winter weather advisory in the Gorge for snow turning to freezing rain there. Meanwhile, we've got the flood watch across all of western Oregon in the green area and a high wind watch at the coast as well. You can see that in yellow. That's for the Friday weather that's coming our way. And then finally, we have added an avalanche warning to the list, which does include Mount Hood. That's from tonight until tomorrow night at 6 p.m. I've been talking about this all week, how we had the really light, low-density powder snow. Now we're getting heavy, wet snow on top of it. The lighter, low-density snow simply can't hold the weight of the heavy stuff above, so it collapses. So lots of naturally triggered avalanches in the Cascades. Avoid the backcountry right now. So some highlights for you. Snow in the Cascades, but only above 6,000 feet, even a little bit higher. Snow to ice and then to rain in the Gorge finally. But before that happens, as much as 0.4 of an inch of ice in the Gorge. And again, we're talking about flooding anywhere in western Oregon, landslides, avalanches, all that's possible. And again, Laurel, I guess I need to add sinkholes to the list. Back to you.
Gosh, yes. What else? I know you've got some dry time in there you'll tell us about later, and I can't wait to hear about that highlight. Thank you, Matt. New tonight, people in Kelso, Longview, and beyond are donating thousands of dollars to help a homeless man who just had a major setback. He lost his hand in an explosion when a homemade firework was thrown in his direction. Alma McCarty got a chance to speak with him and the woman leading the effort to support him.
On New Year's Day, nearing midnight, Ron Turnbull says he was just about to get some sleep outside around Vandercook Way and 9th Avenue in Longview. He tells me he'd gotten up briefly when something was thrown in his direction.
It was lit, and when it was lit, I made a mistake of picking it up and it blew off my hand. Then there was a pipe out until my hand exploded and my fingers were literally hanging from my hand from what was.
Police say it was a tennis ball full of explosives. Ron says he ran to the nearest hospital more than a mile away.
I know location is in Longview. St. John's Hospital saved my life. I move very darn quick.
From there, he was rushed to OHSU, where his hand had to be amputated. Early Sunday morning, Longview police arrested a 25-year-old man, charging him with second-degree assault for throwing the explosive.
I'm still alive. I mean, I can still function. If I need anything, hey, I've been able to with one hand.
Though heartbroken over the incident, the way he was treated, Ron says he's trying to stay positive.
There's a positive to this. Despite what happened, that doesn't mean life's not going to go on. It could have been somebody else, and I could have, if I stayed in the area of where it was, and if he threw another, that'd been it.
I first heard about Ron's story and the details of what happened on Facebook. Somebody made a post, saying someone had been attacked, just knowing he's going to have such a road to recovery afterward, and being homeless and dealing with that at the same time is just going to be probably impossible.
Mandy Hart didn't know Ron, but she felt compelled to help, starting a fundraiser and connecting him to resources like legal aid and housing.
I just knew we have to act immediately and get some funds coming in and make some networking happen.
With Ron currently staying in safe temporary housing, they're working towards a long-term plan, figuring out next steps so he can get back on his feet.
We can really, do everything for Ron that he deserves.
I'm trying to move forward and not move backwards.
In just 2 days, more than 100 people have pitched into the GoFundMe campaign. So far, they've raised over $8,000. Part of the long-term goal for Ron is finding affordable, permanent housing.
What a story. I have a feeling a lot more people will pitch in. I hope so. We send our best wishes to Ron. Thank you. We now know the name of the man shot and killed after he was involved in a suspected bank robbery. Authorities identified him as 24-year-old Roman Kokonevich. The shooting happened last night near the Gresham Station shopping center. Police say the suspect and an accomplice carjacked an innocent driver. Before that, the suspect's accused of robbing a key bank at gunpoint, then leading police on a chase. We spoke to a woman who got caught up in that chase, and she says police threw out spike strips, and in an attempt to avoid them, the suspect almost hit her head on.
You know, I'm sitting there laying on my horn and he's facing me. I'm very lucky he didn't shoot the gun. I mean, it didn't really hit me until this morning how serious the situation was and how lucky I was, and other people. I mean, this could have been worse. He could have done so much more damage, and it's sad, but I'm glad it didn't end with more people hurt or dead.
The suspect's alleged accomplice has also been identified as Haley Hopp. The 33-year-old is in custody and faces first and second-degree robbery charges. New at 11, a dog is back with its owners after being found inside a garbage can in Vancouver. Waste Connections truck operator Brandon Hardesty said he found the dog inside a can while he was doing his rounds. Hardesty said he couldn't believe someone would leave the little guy there.
There was no caller, there was no nothing. None of the neighbors recognized the dog. There was a couple that came out because they heard me idling there for a little bit. None of them recognized it, just stray dog in a can. There's plenty of ways to get a dog a new home before that. That's terrible.
Oh, the poor guy. The person who lived at the house got in touch with an animal rescuer who later found the dog's owners and reunited them. It's still not clear how the dog wound up in the trash can, but we're glad he's okay.